Let's start with an introduction to what suturing is. According to Google, suturing is the process of using sterile needles and thread to hold the edges of a wound together, blah blah blah. Control bleeding, reducing risk of infection, which contributes to faster healing and minimal scarring. Basically what it means is it's sewing, but instead of on materials like fabric, it's for human and animal skins. Don't worry though, because that's not what we'll be working on today, because we'll be using a practice kit, which includes a practice skin, needle and suture, forceps, needle driver, and scissors. I also recommend grabbing a pair of gloves and wearing them if you have any lying around, because I think it'll be really helpful to be like in the experience of or getting used to wearing gloves when you're doing like suturing and stuff like that. Now that we know what suturing is and what our equipments are called, I'll be showing you how to use them and actually suture. We're going to be starting with getting our tools ready, which is taking our suture out of its packaging and then loading it onto our needle holder or needle driver. We're going to want the needle to be about 2/3 of the way, which is like near the end of the curve so we have good control. Since this is our first demonstration, I'm going to be starting with like going through the sides one by one. So we'll be inserting our needle through the first side of the skin and pulling it out with the help of our forceps. And then we'll pull it all the way through to close to the end, but leaving a little bit of the tail so that we could tie it up later. And then we're gonna be doing the same on the other side. Make sure you don't get the string or suture in the way because it might get tangled up. We're gonna insert the needle in slowly and steadily onto the other side and pull it out while loading it back onto our driver. And then we pull it all the way through. Now we're going to be tying it off and finishing up our simple interrupted stitch. We'll wrap the suture twice around our needle driver. And then we'll be grabbing our tail that we left earlier through the loop. Pull through tightly. And then hold on to it as we'll be doing another loop around. So 2 loops and pull through. And then pull tightly again to make sure that the stitch stays in place. Now we'll be doing our last loop. We're wrapping it around and pull through. So now we have our first simple interrupted stitch and we're going to be cutting off our ends. Now that we have our first one done, I'll be starting a second one on this other practice area. So this time we'll be starting with both sides of the skin at once, since we already got an idea of what it is. So we'll be pulling through both of it, loading it back onto our driver, just like we did. Pull through to the end, leave a little bit of the tail. Now we'll fasten it off again with our loop and pull through. Try your best not to pull it too hard or it'll snap. And then we'll do another loop. Pull through. Pull tightly, but not too tightly. And then our third one. This time though, we're only going to be cutting off a little bit of the tail end and leaving the rest so that we can continue on with our simple running suture. For this stitch, we're going to be inserting our hook into our skin again from one side to the other, just like how we did with our start of our simple interrupted stitch. So pull it out, load it onto the driver and pull through. Now we have sort of a little cross line, diagonal line across the skin, and we'll be repeating that one more time. So needle in, through the skin and pull out. And load it back onto the driver and pull through. So I'm going to be repeating this step a few more times. Normally you really want it to be equal length and equal in distance, but Since I had something obstructing my view, I couldn't really get that to be perfect, and I really apologize. Now that we have a set of our wonky, weird, simple running suture, we're going to be fastening it off. So how we fasten it off is similar to how we do our normal stitch. We insert the hook and we pull through, just like how we normally do, but this time you don't pull through all the way. So load the needle back onto the driver, pull through, leave a little bit, which will be our tail. I think I left a little too much here, but that's alright. So now we're going to do 2 loops on our driver, just like how we did with the simple interrupted stitch, and pull through the loop. Pull tightly. That's our first one. It's a little loose, but we're going to do the second one. Pull a little bit just so it stays closed. 2 loops. I struggled a little bit here because there was only a little bit of suture left on the hook. So we'll pull through the loop again. Grab it, pull through. Pull tightly. That's our second one. Then we'll do our last one and fasten it off for good. Oops, I'm struggling a little here. Pull through the loop. Oh no. Alright, there we go. And now we've finished our simple interrupted stitch and simple running suture. We're going to be cutting it off. And yeah, we're done. Now we're just going to have to cut it off and pull it out and practice over and over again until we get it perfectly straight and consistent. Goodbye, stitches. I also wanted to show you really quickly how pulling too hard could actually lead your string to breaking, because this happened to me twice. Here I was trying to do my simple interrupted stitch and then I pull and it wasn't tight enough, so I try again, I pull through, and then boom, it ripped again. Before you finish off, I'd just like to mention that practice makes perfect, and it'll be a great idea to practice on, the different types of wounds and openings as seen on the kit, as well as with different types of, let's say, suture or like thread. Remember to not get frustrated if you don't get it your first try. As you can see, I make quite a few mistakes in the demonstration video as well, and I'd also like to remind you that please try this safely, follow safety guidelines at home, and remember that you actually need real clinical and training to do like suturing for real. Please do not try this on yourself or anybody else or any living being for that matter. Remember to be safe. Last note is that I'm not a healthcare professional. Don't take my demonstration as like a reference point. Please actually seek real training from clinical professionals, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.